must be made heading into Game 2. And we're now joined by Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard. Chris, how much trouble are the Bucks in?
Well, I picked the Bucks to win this series in 7, but I was very close to going with Miami in the upset. I'll, of course, stay with my pick. But I do think an upset is possible for several reasons. Number one, where are the Bucks at mentally? Now, Miami has beaten them now 3 out of the 4 times they've played this season, including the regular season. So what are the Bucks thinking now? George Hill, their spiritual leader, he hasn't won anything. None of these guys have won anything. So Giannis is their leader. He's young. He has yet to, get to the finals and win a championship. Then you got other guys like Kyle Korver, Dante DiVincenzo, Brook Lopez, Eric Bledsoe. None of these guys has won at a high level. So where are they at when they look at the fact that, wow, this team has beaten us now 3 out of 4 times? These guys are used to being the hunters, not used to being the hunted. So I got to wonder where they're at mentally. Then what the Heat did to Giannis was not an aberration. Now, they're not going to hold him, obviously, to 18 points a game. But one game in the regular season, they held him to 13 points. My point being, they can force him to have 2 or 3 of these type of mediocre or bad games in a 7-game series. They've got guys that can guard him, and Bam Adebayo, Andre Iguodala, Jay Crowder, Jimmy Butler, and they're well-coached and disciplined. So they can execute their game plan. A lot of teams have a good game plan, but then they lose, focus, and they lose it for a few minutes or a quarter or something like that, and that's enough to lose. The Heat are disciplined. So they kept Giannis out of transition, and they walled off the paint so he couldn't get those straight line drives, and you force someone else to beat you. Now, here's the thing for Milwaukee. The other guys played fairly well. Chris Middleton gave him 28. Brook Lopez gave him 24. Kyle Korver shot well from 3. They hit 16 threes and still lost. Now, if I'm the Bucks, though, you're understanding Jimmy Butler's going to get cold at some point. He didn't shoot it well all season. He's been hot from the perimeter in the playoffs, but he's probably going to come back to earth, at least on his jump shot, at some point soon. So I still got the Bucks, but this is going to be a long, tough series for them. And like I said, an upset is possible.
But see, Brook Lopez getting 25 points doesn't do anything for you. You can give him 25. You don't want Giannis getting 35 and 15. That's where the damage is done. And although Middleton had 28, he had 21 in the first half. So when they needed big buckets, when they needed quality points, nobody was there to rise and shine. And the thing is with Giannis, if you can keep Giannis off the free throw line, and even if you don't, he ain't gonna make a whole bunch of them. I mean, he had that streak when they played the Lakers. Skip, remember when they played the Lakers in Milwaukee? He was, 5 of 8 from the three-point line. He was like missed only one. I think he was perfect from the free throw line. That's not Giannis. He's not a good three-point shooter. He's not a good free throw shooter. And if you can keep him out of the paint, and as you mentioned, Chris, they got guys that can guard him one-on-one if they need to. Help can come, but they got guys that can wall him off. They got sturdy body guys. Crowder, you mentioned, Iggy, Bam. Bam is tough. Bam, I love Bam's game. And Jimmy Butler they have the right mix of a dog, a lead dog, and other guys that want to follow. And that's what you need. Jimmy Butler chose to go to Miami because the other stops that he had gone to, Minnesota, he's like, y'all weak, y'all sorry. Y'all got some talent, but you're sorry. He went to Philadelphia, he's like, y'all ain't taking it serious enough. Let me go somewhere where basketball means something to them. And he went to Miami and he found a home. I agree. Jimmy Butler, do I think he's going to get 40 again? I don't know if he'll get 35 again in the series, but he probably won't need to. If you can contain Giannis, they have enough guys that they can count on. Dragic, he can get buckets when they need to. And this kid, Hero, yeah, I like his game. I like a guy that's young but don't know he's young. He doesn't know. He don't even know he ain't supposed to be doing what he's doing in the NBA playoff game his rookie year.
By the way, Coach Spo let him finish.
Yes.
He closed last night.
Exactly.
Wow. So, Chris Broussard, I told Mr. Sharp across from me for the last week, I am leaning toward picking Miami to knock off the Milwaukee Bucks. And at the last second yesterday, I chickened out and I choked and I said Bucks in 7. And I regret that because I do now believe, I'll stick with my pick, but I do believe the Heat are going to win this series. And it's going to boil down to one team is just physically and mentally tougher than the other team. One star is definitely mentally and physically tougher than the other star. And the one star is Jimmy Butler, who I always tell Shannon, I want him in my playoff foxhole. He just knows how to win, how to fight, how to do the little things that add up to big things. And he's such a great leader of this kind of team. I love watching him because they play hard and they play right. And it's a pleasure to watch how they dismantled Milwaukee in the fourth quarter last night. And it started and finished with Jimmy Buckets. But it also started and finished with Giannis. And again, he's about to do something only 2 other all-time greats have done. And that's win MVP as well as Defensive Player of the Year in the same season. Jordan did it. Olajuwon did it. Giannis is about to do it. Yet, when it comes big playoff time against a team that's well-coached and mentally and physically tough, they just say no, especially in fourth quarters to Giannis. They say, you can't come in here anymore. We will wall you off. We will frustrate you, and we will make you look ordinary and overrated. Because if you get to the free throw line, that's about all we're going to give you, and you can't make those. And look at those last 4 games last year against Toronto when they just crumbled. And in the fourth quarters, he shot 35%. He's a 55% regular season shooter because he's just going to finger roll like Wilt and make basket after basket. But Toronto said no. And last night, Miami, playing a lot of zone, just said, no, you can't come in here. And if you do, we're going to knock the ball out of your hands. And in the fourth quarter last night, Giannis goes 1 of 4, 0 for 2 from 3, 1 of 4 from the free throw line, and has 2 big turnovers. You're going to lose. He's your superstar. A lot of people think he's the best player in the game. And yet, when it's time, I don't see it. I keep waiting, and I don't see it. Jimmy Butler always rises and shines in these kind of moments, in these kind of games. And obviously, a guy who doesn't score that much for this team just took it over down the stretch, and it was extraordinary. And then young Tyler Hero goes hero, and he makes the dagger 3, and that's who those Heat are, and that's why I believe the Bucks are about to be history.
Yeah, I picked Toronto to win the East, to beat the Bucks in the conference finals. Obviously, that's a round later. But you might be right, Skip, and I kind of felt the same way at the last minute. I said, you know what, I'm going to stick with the Bucks. But if you watch them, they don't play many close games. We know they had this. They won by an average of 11 or 12 points a game in the regular season. They had the fewest close games of any team in the playoffs. But when you watch them, when they were in a tough game, Giannis was not the go-to guy.
No.
They go to ball movement because he doesn't have a go-to shot, a go-to move.
Right.
He's obviously not going to shoot the jumper that well, and you'll give it to him to shoot the J or shoot the 3. And on another note, this team kind of reminds me of LeBron in Cleveland, his first go-round before he went to Miami, where they were tremendous in the regular season. Remember, they won 66 games and then 61 games, and then they flamed out in the playoffs. Now, LeBron delivered. Unlike LeBron never had these types of games that I remember where like Giannis, and he never really got the help of 2 guys scoring 24-plus points and things like that. However, the supporting cast are similar. With all due respect to Middleton and Lopez and these guys, they're not ready for prime time. Middleton, as good as he is he's the second best player on a championship team, kind of like it was Antoine Jameson, Mo Williams, and, guys, Ilgauskas, guys like LeBron had. Yeah. So it's a very similar situation. Now, here's the question. Everybody's wondering, is Giannis going to stay in Milwaukee? He could hit a point like LeBron where he's like, I got to get some help. If I'm going to win a championship, because now he's of that ilk. You mentioned the awards, Skip, with Jordan and Olajuwon. He's hit that level where every year he doesn't win his first championship, it's going to be more and more pressure on him. And then we're going to stop looking at him as being so great and start criticizing him more. And so that's where the pressure comes to maybe go elsewhere or something like that.
Well, he's definitely not going to get anybody to come join him in Milwaukee. So you can forget that.
Right.
So he's going to have to go somewhere. And as you mentioned, like LeBron in Cleveland the first time around, so what did they do? Well, we're going to keep LeBron butt out the paint. Now, I believe LeBron can shoot the ball at this stage better than Giannis could. But they say, you know what? Varejao, Ilgauskas, you other guys, if you want to make shots, have at it. And sometimes Bron was still going for 40, and they still